Hello, hello. Welcome once again to another edition of Quoth Raven, Louis Bright Raven. I'm your host, Louis Bright Raven, 33-year veteran, comics writer, science fiction, fantasy, horror, role-playing game, writer, artist, illustrator, editor, you name it, I've done it. And it's Thursday, May 8th. I mean, it's comics reviews time. And our missing co-host is back.
Hi, everybody.
But our colorful one had to leave right before the show. Couldn't make it tonight, unfortunately. So we're going to be doing kind of a truncated episode because we don't want to review the stuff that he was going to review without him. So we're just going to go ahead and do what we can. Alrighty? Are we going to be louder or just less color? Are we going to be louder tonight or are we just going to be less colorful?
Who knows?
Let's find out. Well, we got a color to start with Absolute Green Lantern, #2 for $4.99. Publisher DC Comics, writer Al Ewing, artist Janoy Lindsay, lettering Lucas Gattoni. Cover artist are Lindsay, Sean, Juliet Neneka, Torian Clark, Jeffrey Spokes, Alex Ekman-Long. Editors are Andrew Marino, Ash Padilla, Katie Kubert, and Chris Conroy. It's supposed to be science fiction, superhero, horror, ? I don't really see horror. I see, well, we'll get into that in a minute. It was released May 7th, 2025. What's it about? After Hal Jordan kills a slew of people in issue #1, Joe Moline has arrived with the powers of a Green Lantern, and they sit down in the pitted out destruction of the diner Hal just blew up with his sinister black hand and talk. And have a flashback to everything that should have been shown in issue #1 to begin with. By the time the talk concludes and it's over, we know that Hal has more or less lost his mind to the Black Hand and that he and Joe are likely about to have their battle next issue. What did I think of this book? It was a complete waste of time and effort. As I suspected after issue 1, this is what was going to happen. But I know, give the series a chance, give the book a chance. Well, I did. It sucked. Mostly the story concept and the writing sucked. The art was okay. That's why it's getting any score at all. I give it a 1.5 stars. I'm not even going to show you this book. I am just disgusted with it.
Wow.
So let's go ahead and move on to the next one, which is the exact opposite of the spectrum. Mouse Guard, Dawn of the Black Axe 2 for $4.99. Publisher, Archaia Boom Studios. Writer, colorist David Peterson with line art by Gabriel Rodriguez. Covers Gabriel Rodriguez shown. David Peterson does another one, and Kevin Eastman and David Peterson also do another cover. Editors are David Marriott and Bryce Carlson. John Norris Fantasy. Release date May 7th, 2025. What it's about. Bardrick, the first wielder of the Black Axe, continues his campaign against the serpents surrounding the Mouse territories, but even he can't be everywhere at once. The legendary weapon bearer must serve his duty, but can he truly manage it all on his lonesome? Wonderfully executed on all aspects. I really wish more people would support the series than what it typically receives. It has been one of the best comic series of the past 20 years. But whether people are avoiding it because of its format size or because they don't want to read animal comics or whatever excuse, come here. I got something to say to you. Check that out.
But I'm not into fantasy comics about mice versus snakes set in the Middle Ages. The Raven says, read the book, boy blunder, so you read the damned book. Right. How's that for colorful? We got to make up for Chris's absence here, folks.
Yes, we do.
Holy frijoles! What just happened? Raven with the 5-star? Somebody call 911. Multiple ambulances. Stat!
Finish it.
And I'm kind of ashamed to say that I'm somehow one of the people who hasn't been reading Mouse Guard, and looks like I really should be reading Mouse Guard.
Oh, absolutely you should. Let's take a look at some of that artwork inside, though. before we move on. I want to get, there we go.
Oh, that's pretty darn cool.
And he's fighting all these different snakes at once with one axe.
Mm.
Pretty badass when you think about it.
So it's in an oversized format?
This is not an oversized, but definitely different format. I forget the exact dimensions. I think it's 6x6 or 8x8 or something like that. This is just absolutely
that's beautiful.
Awesome. And just so you get to see what they actually give you process in the back of the book too, where you can actually see what the line art looked like before they colored it.
Oh, cool.
And then have it side by side.
Nice.
So I'm very very pleased with this book, as you can tell. 5 stars. Okay. Let's see what we got next. We have Blood and Thunder for number 1, $4.99. Publisher's Image Comics Skybound. Robert Kirkman is sort of he created it, but he's not writing the script. Benito Cereno is writing the script. Artist is E.J. Su, lettering by Russ Wooten. Colorist is Michelle Asarasacum, aka Miss Asik. I don't know. Covers are Suam Misasik, David Lopez, Andy Tong with Rex Locus, and Bernard Chang for different covers. Editor is Nachi Marsham. Genre is more like a science fiction. We'll get into it. I don't really want to call it superhero, but that's what they call it. Released May 7th, 2025. What is it about? Set in a far future where Earth has integrated alien species into a new society, Blood and Thunder plays by a whole new set of rules and has a whole load of new crimes to solve. Bounty hunter Akodama Bledsoe and her cantankerous talking gun Thunder are the best there is at bringing in bad guys. Oh, geez, the best there is at what they do. However, when the galaxy's most dangerous criminal breaks out of prison, Blood's hunt delivers her down a path that will unlock secrets about her past, present, and future. And that's when things get really bad. Now, normally, I am not one for anything by Kirkman. Thankfully, while this concept is technically his, it's other people making the actual comic. The character is interesting. The scenery around her, not so much. It's rated M because we have cussing galore in it, naturally. Rolling my eyes. Eliminate that, and you'd have a perfectly fine book for 12 to 14-year-olds. Unfortunately, so much of this is sadly a knock of 1980s indie fare, though. It's Laser Eraser without actual press button as a partner. Instead, she's got a talking gun to belong to her deceased father. The cops are essentially doofus versions of the judges from Judge Dredd. And the whole book feels like a remix of 2000 AD stereotypes. There are some minor plot points that have been laid out that could theoretically go somewhere and make the story interesting, but unless the most dangerous criminal is a master author who's been circulating illegal printed materials, shrug. Cereno doesn't really impress me that much as a writer. The star of the book is the artist E.J. Su, and the next best part is the coloring by Miss Asik. Now, I'm not hating this book overall, but I do wonder if I should just wait for the trade right out of the gate after this first issue. It's pretty average. I'm going to give it 3 stars because it is the first issue. It's got a chance to go somewhere. It's got a chance to fall on its face. We'll see what happens. And let's take a quick look at some of that artwork from this. Pop Culture is in the house.
Yep.
Hey, good to see you. ECA. Here's the book. Again, the cover's okay. You know, the hair's a little bit funky. The long flowing thing, I would have done it differently, but you know, that's neither here nor there. The art book by E.J. Sue here, you know, it's not bad. You know, it's pretty decent for what it is. Those two are the cops trying to deal with the feeding the most dangerous criminal. This is the prisoner on, supposedly, or prisoner world or whatever. Some sort of weird asteroid city. Even if he escapes, where can he go? Well, gee, I don't know. Does he need to go anywhere? You know, right? As you kind of go down the each level, it gets worse as they of the asteroid city, and of course everything goes from the top down, so everything flows downhill, if you know what I mean. But let me get into the character here. Again, the art's not bad, you know. It's, she breaks after the guy she's chasing, and her smart gun won't shoot because she wants live deadly rounds and he won't kill anybody. So she has to, like, convince the gun to shoot a non-lethal thing to stop him instead. Kind of silly, but okay. And then they find out that he's smuggling books. Uh-oh, that's dangerous, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it gets interesting. The cops are like, thank you for bringing us the books, but you know, you should go back to the academy now and like become a real cop. So we can control you, more or less. But yeah, it is what it is. Okay, our next one is for John.
All right. Darkwing Duck, a new series, numbers 1 through 3, publisher Dynamite Entertainment, writer Daniel Kibblesmith, artists are Ted Brandt and Rose Stein, lettering is Fabio Amelia, colors by Deirbla Kelly, cover artists are Tad Stones, who is Darkwing Duck's series creator. Also, Mark Bagley, Branton Stein, Nicoletta Baldari, and Ciro Cangialosi. Editor Nate Cosby, genre comedy / superhero. Released March 5th through April 30th, 2025, and it's still ongoing. So, what it's about. He is the terror that flaps in the night, the fowl that felons most fear, a legend in his own time and his own mind. He is Darkwing Duck. But how did this avian exemplar develop his redoubtable reputation? What lessons did he learn in his early days of crime busting and foe foiling? His legions of fans, or at least his adopted daughter Gosalyn, want to know, and DW is more than happy to tell her the whole, possibly embellished story in this unauthorized and unorganized autobiography. Renowned writer Daniel Kibblesmith, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, Loki, Black Panther vs. Deadpool, and the double-headed art team of Ted Brandt and Rose Stein of The Mighty Captain Marvel, Tales of the Titans, Beast Boy, return to the rooftops of St. Canard with an all-new series that revisits and likely revises Darkwing Duck's formative years with a debut issue cover from artist Tad Stones, creator of the original Darkwing Duck animated series. As the magnificent mallard faces off against the likes of Bushroot, Megawatt, and others, With the help of his sidekick Launchpad McClack and the dynamic daughter Gosselin, the adventures begin anew. So, excuse me. So Dynamite launched Volume 1 in 2023, which was a 10-issue series from writer Amanda Dibert and artist Carlo Lauro, which I loved that series.
Oh, a second. Monster Pen has a question. What's the movie tomorrow? We're going to, presuming that Chris shows up tomorrow, it's going to be just a second. I think it's, I'm trying to think, I can't remember the exact name, but I gotta look it back up. The Batman the Doom That Came to Gotham, the animated film. So that's what we'll be watching on Friday. But okay. All right. Let's get back to what John was thinking.
So I loved that first series. I thought it beautifully evoked the original cartoon in both style and tone. So now we're 3 issues into a new series from a new creative team. So the question is, does it hold up so far? Well, let me get the negative out of the way first. And if you've tuned in recently, you've heard us talk about duo shading in some of these all ages books that I've been reviewing. Well, unfortunately, the dreaded duo shading rears its ugly head at the beginning of the first issue. Now, I get that it's a flashback sequence, which I think we'll show you in a second. Mm-hmm. But it's like, did they really have to go with duo shading? Like, it looks so splotchy to me. That one guy in particular looks like his suit is literally covered with lint. It's terrible. Fortunately, after the first 5 pages, the colors get brighter, the shading gets better. Duo shading is still evident in a few panels, but it's much less glaring, and the artwork improves greatly. As for the art style, whereas the first series emulated the look of the original cartoon, this series seems inspired by the style of the recent DuckTales cartoon. And while I don't hate this style, I do wish they had gone with the original cartoon style, not just because I prefer it personally, but because I think it would have been more appropriate for a story about Darkwing's early crime-fighting days, which is not to say that the artwork is bad, because it isn't bad at all. In fact, once you get past those few duo-shaded pages, the art looks quite nice. And the writing, I think, is spot on. Like Dibert, Kibblesmith is showing that he gets these characters. And of course, the fact that the second issue has a theatrical setting as school play and has Bushroot quoting Shakespeare and Darkwing putting a spin on the no small parts bit made me smile. So, minor art quibbles aside, I'd say that it's as good as the 2023 series so far.
Okay, now, because I was reviewing so many other books, I only had time to review issue number 1. But that was a reasonably well done setup for a rebooted series, sort of a Darkwing year 1, if you will. I do agree that the digital duo shading looks weak in the first few pages of issue 1, but since that was supposed to be DW telling the story as an imaginary flashback, old-timey comic style, it's understandable why they did it. In my opinion, the execution sucked, though. There are multiple panels where CMYK codes get mixed up, whether that's on purpose or by mistake, because those effects are the way they are. And it looks sort of like a color fade to represent I'm not sure what. They need to stop trying to do pop art duo shading. in these books. It just doesn't work. When you're going to do these kind of books, and you're going to do duo shading, you use flat colors only. That means you do no color shading. It means you don't color the duo shade different colors. It's flat color with the duo shade grid in black. That's how it's supposed to be done, folks. Go back and look at your stuff from the 70s when it was done well. All too often, these people are trying to use too many elements. They end up over-rendering the art. Treat the art like an animation cell when you're doing these characters, or when you do Disney Warner Brothers animated style characters. Save the duo shading for your backdrops, not on your figures, if you're going to use it at all. Just my editorial opinion, and my suggestion is, man, it's now over. John gave it 4. I'll give it a 3 because John's more of a fan of Darkwing than I am to begin with, but you can tell with this, there's the cover over here that is done by Tad Stones. He doesn't need to do duo shading to get your shading effects. So, follow Tad. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and blow this up to show.
Yep. And this is exactly what I was talking about. Like you can just see like those white spots like all over.
Yeah. Part of this is multiple duo shading levels, and part of it is like they're trying to get some sort of weird refraction off the broken glass that comes from him breaking the glass and landing inside with his motorcycle. But that being said, it just doesn't quite work because it's sporadic throughout it. In fact, the light source as a whole doesn't quite work. But it is what it is. And then I don't know if it'll show up if I can get close enough in here. No, I can't. But like right under here where he's holding the cape, there's like the whole pattern of yellow dots. And then there's a whole pattern of yellow dots right over here as well in the actual book that show, because it's like they put different color gradation film sets over them that just didn't quite work, that didn't need to be there. You can see them again in the pattern on this guy's jacket a little more clearly.
Yeah.
And then you go over here to the top panel and you'll see the thing, the pattern there again, kind of just blending in over. It'd be okay if it was just in the green behind him, but it overlaps over his hat. It overlaps over his mask. It just doesn't look right.
Yep.
But in a way, it kind of looks like almost like fingerprint inking had come off, the pages to make it look old timey or something. Like it was like they were trying to make that effect. I don't know.
I don't either.
No, these are the ones that are written by Daniel Kibblesmith. And Pop Culture says, I'm not a fan of computer art. I'm a big fan of traditional art. Yeah, we get it. He also asks us about doing Come Drink With Me by the Shaw Brothers. Is that a Hong Kong martial arts film? I think that's what he's talking about.
If it's from the Shaw Brothers, I would guess so.
Okay.
I mean, I've never seen it, but
right. Yeah, I'm kind of like, I'll have to wait and see what. Do you want to watch something that's in Mandarin Chinese with subtitles?
I don't mind.
Okay.
I mean,
all right. Well, we'll talk with Chris about it sometime and see what he thinks. Now, when we get to this, this is colored more traditionally without the effects, and it looks so much better.
Yes, it does.
Except for the part that Gosling does not need to look like she's wearing makeup on her face everywhere.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That bothers me. I mean, it's sort of consistent, but it doesn't need to be there. You know, this is a great scene though, where she's like just flips the thing. Yeah, you're not missing nothing. But yeah. But other than that, it's not bad. I would rather see the whole book colored more like this, though.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's see what else we got. Okay, our next book is Raised by Ghosts. Pop Culture says there's an English dubbed version. Well, if we can find the English dubbed version, we'll see. Okay. Raised by Ghosts. Trade paperback, $18.99. Publisher Fantagraphics. Creator Brianna Lowe and Son. Semi-autobiographical coming-of-age story. Released February 4th, 2025. For ages, I say 14 and up, but it might go a little bit younger. What it's about. Set in the author's own teenage years, Raised by Ghosts begins in 1991 with semi-autobiographical Brianna in middle school. Classes are a bummer. Lunches are worse. Either they're spent alone or she's getting teased. Traditionally a good student, Brianna is not doing well in her academics, but she's keeping it a secret from her parents because they're divorced and they're really not around. They're largely absent. She spends a lot of the time by herself, and by high school, she makes friends, and those connections are her only source of happiness as they help each other navigate adolescence. But life at home with each parent remains fraught. When her relationships at school begin to falter, she has no one to turn to, forcing Brianna to grapple with her sense of self-worth, her longing for belonging, and her desire for authenticity in her relationships. Raised by Ghosts is a powerful, affecting graphic novel for young adult readers. Story is told by shifting between the author's first-person class notes and diary entries and comic book sequences. In her understated yet masterful approach to comic storytelling, Lowe and Son eschews dramatic confrontations and overt sentimentality, preferring instead to underscore an idea that sometimes acceptance and love can be communicated through quiet and everyday moments and close family bonds. What did I think? I felt like this book is a really good selection for middle school to early high school readers struggling to find their own identity, especially those who do come from broken homes like Brianna does, or they're in a family situation where there just isn't a whole lot of meaningful interaction. I personally was fortunate in my youth to have parents that made the time for me, but it very easily might not have been that way because both my parents dealt with abusive mothers and absent fathers, and they could have very easily have passed that kind of relationship down as parents themselves. So, like I said, I'm fortunate, and I know your parents got divorced, but I don't know exactly when, John.
They got divorced right before I headed off to college.
Okay, so you had them around.
I had them around, although like they were never mean to me or my brother or anything, but especially during my high school years, like you could tell that they were not getting along with each other, and it, you know, it did affect things.
It always does, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I know that you've got good relations with both of them now.
Yes.
And I mean, I know you see them at different times in different places. I don't know if do they speak to each other now, or are they communicable?
They really don't. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, on the occasion that they do, I mean, they're cordial to each other, but I mean,
right.
think at this point, there's just nothing left for either of them to say to the other person.
Yeah. Yep. It is. Okay. Because of this situation, though, with the books, I do worry the way it's formatted, because it has a personal journal entries and it's not entirely a comic, that some boys might be resistant to reading it being a girly, quote unquote, girly comic, since it has that kind of diary journal perspective in it. But I would hope that if a teacher or a librarian or any caring adult offers this work to a young boy, or growing male teenager, that they think about the book with talk about this book with the person afterwards. There's a lot that the book has to offer. Artistically, I do think Lowenson does have an interesting vibe, but I think that she relies so heavily on the same 4-panel grid that some of the story really falls flat in the first half of the book. Now, there's a legitimate reason for doing it, and I'm not saying it's wrong. There's an actual story context to that. It kind of reflects how she feels boxed in to a certain expectations and stuff, so it all fits, metaphorically and subliminally to the context of the story. So I'm not saying it's wrong. I just wonder if things have been transitioned to the fuller range of panel layouts earlier in the book, whether it would have been a more engaging read to me as a reader. Overall, however, very solid read. I give it 3.5 stars. Let's take a quick look at some of the artwork on this. Now you can see early on, it's like good art in the panel of her journal.
Yeah. And
then you get to the 4 panels, and this is like the first half of the book is 4 panels and then a journal. And that doesn't, the art itself does not look bad.
No, it doesn't.
It might not be what people who are used to doing superhero comics want, and I understand that. But in terms of the context of what who the target audience is for this book, I think it's all right. I want to get to the more broader. Here we go. We start getting into the more broader range here in the back of the book. It gets to, you're still doing the 4 panels, and then going the wrong way. Or am I? No, I'm going the right way. Starts getting into more expansive. One page is expanded into
okay, cool.
She's actually spinning the paper into an illusion, falls in through the portal. It starts going into a very into the actual paper wood grain, and she's part of the paper wood.
Oh, wow.
Starts experimenting with this kind of. That's all technical pen or Procol pen scratching techniques. And then by the end, we start seeing a little more diverse range of styles of layouts and stuff by the end of the book, as she's getting more freer with her identity and figuring out who she is, and more self-confidence. So, yeah, I like that overall for the book. And again, I give it 3.5 stars. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next one, which is Station Grand. Original graphic novel, hardcover, $17.99 from Oni Press. Writer is Craig Hurd McKinney. Otis is Noah Bailey. Letterer is Saida Timafonte, editor Chanel Bacon originally, and Gabriel Granillo. Genre science fiction, released April 8th, 2025. What it's about: an astronaut suffering from insomnia is stalked by a presence aboard a space station. Michael returns to Station Grand. Pop Culture says, I didn't realize Fantagraphics was still publishing. Oh, yeah, they're publishing regularly. I get a lot of Fantagraphics stuff. Anyway, Michael returns to Station Grant for a long solo assignment. His only company is a computer which tracks his shortening sleep cycles over the weeks. A drop in the ship's oxygen levels indicates the possibility of another life form aboard, though the computer determines no cause for the anomaly. When Michael sees a terrible vision from his past, he investigates further, risking his health and his life in a quest for the truth. What is it about? Continued. Claustrophobic and creepy, this book is an effective psychological horror story with satisfying scares. Also probes into the long-term effects of trauma. Its narration steady and confident. A bonus story and an enlightening afterword reveal the creator's fascinating connections to the book through their own experiences with insomnia-induced visions and sleep paralysis. These subjects are innovative and intriguing, expanding on the subject of sleep trauma and using a tri-narrative to reveal 3 different points of view, piece by piece, as the pages unfold. What did I think of this book? In many ways, this book is derivative and swipes from so many movies and TV shows, it's ridiculous. If this had been made as a movie instead of a comic series, it would have luckily been made direct to the $1 bin movie box.
Wow.
At the video stores or at Walmart. That being said, it capture the essence of the things that they are clearly recycling from, I should say, and reassessing it and presenting it in their own way. Because the trick is they're able to come up with a version that evokes the same kind of reactions or something unique, and not have the audience identifying your work as similar to that which has already been done. Now, with this book, I was constantly mentally comparing it to 2001 Space Odyssey, Alien, Outland, Solaris, and many other science fiction books and movies, and that's not good. But that's not to say the execution of the book was horrible. It just means a lot of the better qualities of the work become meh because it's not strong enough on its own merits, and I'm constantly comparing it to the other stuff. I did enjoy the book. I was just hoping for something a little bit more than what it delivered. I'll give it 3 out of 5. And let's take a quick look at this book. The nice hardcover edition. Got that nice glossy stock sheen over the figure there. The art is all done in like pencil and gray tones.
Okay.
It's nice to look at for what it is. Lullaby Planet. And you can kind of see that there's interesting things going on with it visually, with what he's dreaming and what he's doing as he gets ready to go on the space station. And then once he's on the station, it's not bad art, but it's not exactly, the most dynamic art storyline either. He makes a good, that's an interesting, thing is he's sleeping and he sees that the creature, in his eye there. But, he's dreaming that his bed is like crumbling. like it's made out of rock. So he can't sleep. And again, is there this other person in there or not? And it's all because he's got sleep deprivation. that he's not sure if there's actually someone else in the station or not. So again, it comes out okay, Again, they do a little bit of backstory on the second story to explain their own personal experiences with the same problems. So it's not bad. I guess I was looking for a little more of the actual creature alien chasing Ripley type thing or something like that. And that wasn't quite there. This is more of a more psychological thriller with more like Solaris. If you guys have seen the movie Solaris with Clooney in it. So, but not a fan of the art style, which, totally understandable. Okay, let's see. Next one is yours, John.
All right. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Saturday Morning Adventures number 24, publisher IDW Publishing, writer Eric Burnham, artist Sarah Meyer on pencils and inks, colorist Luis Antonio Delgado, lettering Ed Dukeshire, cover artist Sarah Meyer with an alternate cover by Edison Neo, editor Thea Chuck. Genre action adventure superhero, release date April 23rd, 2025. Rating all ages. What it's about. In order to bring the Pantheon to Earth and kick off his plans for conquest, Old Hob, and that's the cat figure you see on the right of the cover there, has been working with Krang to repair a damaged interdimensional portal. Instead of opening the gateway to the dimension that the Pantheon is stranded in, their efforts cause a wibble-wobble, yes, that's their words, in the space-time continuum, something that not only returns to Krang one of the evil Ultron's most prized possessions, but also delivers 3 evil Nega-Turtles to New York City. I guess we all know who the heroes in the half shell will be facing off against this month. So, what did I think? Let me take a swig of water here. Okay, just to bring everyone up to speed, Shredder is trapped between dimensions, and Krang has enlisted Old Hob's help to get the trans-dimensional portal working. But when they try it out, things don't go according to plan. Enter the Nega-Turtles. Who are the Nega-Turtles, you ask? They are evil versions of 3 of the turtles that Michelangelo encountered back in issue 20 when, after an accident and argument with Donatello, he encountered the genie of the ring who granted him the one wish he needed, which was to see what life would be like without him, a la It's a Wonderful Life. Get it? Trust me, just go read the issue. So Burnham has been writing this series from the beginning, and he continues to deliver hilarious, action-packed stories. I mean, having the Turtles and the Nega-Turtles in the same issue is cool enough, but to throw in the Crooked Ninja Turtle Gang, now that is some bang for your buck, folks. And it all looks wonderful thanks to Meyer and Delgado. This series continues to channel the vibe of the original cartoon, and it remains a blast to read. And it's like, this is how you do it, folks. So I gave it a 4.5-star rating.
Okay, now I didn't get a chance to read this one, and I don't think Chris did either, but Chris isn't here anyway. So let's go ahead and look at the art. And you can tell us what you were thinking when you picked these images.
Well, of course, the one on the right, I wanted to show off the Crooked Ninja Turtle Gang.
I think they wear bags on their heads that are shaped. Yeah.
Yeah. And I like to pick selections that show off some of the different characters that appear in the issue. Of course, you've got Krang and Shredder. Of course, he's Shredder being kind of see-through because he's trapped between dimensions.
Okay. Let's see what else we got here.
And this is the turtles fighting the Negaturtles. And of course, you know, when I said this is how you do it, I mean, I love this artwork. I think, you know, Sarah Maya and Delgado do a great job. There's not a trace of duo shading anywhere, which is a big plus for me. But I mean, I just like I love this. I think it looks great.
I'm sorry. The thing is, you could do some decent duo shading with some of this. You know, it's just you have to learn how to use it properly. You know, I mean, if they did duo shade, you know, like right in here, and maybe a little bit on the hood in the back, it wouldn't hurt it. But you don't need to like put it all the way through all the gray shade either. And what the other guys Dynamite would do is put all of it through every last bit of the shading.
Yep.
And that's over rendering. Okay. It's kind of interesting. They all wear black masks now because they're evil. But their faces are all, it's kind of weird that they have blank eyes with no pupils, with the regular turtles have pupils.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of odd myself, but you know, it is what it is. And yeah, since I didn't read it, I don't have a grade for it. So let's go on ahead and move on to the next one. Vanishing Point number 1, $4.99. Publisher Mad Cave Studios. Writer Mark Russell. Artist for this issue, Juan Doe. I don't know if we'll be doing next issue or not, and we'll explain why in a moment. Letterer Carlos M. Mangual. Editor Mike Martz. Genre science fiction horror. Released May 7th, 2025. What is about? In Screams, that's the name of this particular issue for the story, the captain of a mining ship goes on a 10-year solo mission to the Jupiter asteroid belt, where he makes a horrifying discovery. The book is the brainchild of Mark Russell. Vanishing Point is an anthology series of short stories that are part science fiction and part existential horror, with an exceptional roster of artists tackling each tale. There are stories with a twist in which the twist is not the point of the story, but a beginning point from which to ask what it means to be alive, or a beginning point from which to ask what's happening to the next issue. But, you know, we'll see. I thought it had a great cover. The story, however, is gold. He took a routine science fiction plot that we've seen hundreds, if not thousands of times before, and he and Wando just hit a rocket shot off the bat out past the stratosphere with this issue. Perfect pacing, perfect setups. He wrote it so that you can see exactly where the story is going and why, so that when the payoff comes, you're expecting that payoff, but it's a satisfactory expectation and not, well, no excrement, Einstein. We figured that out before we left space dock. It's actually well done. Whereas so many people that write and telegraph the ending of a story beforehand, you're bored by the time you get to the end. This actually gets you, okay, yep, this is where it's supposed to be, you know. And he's going to be doing basically one story per issue like this as a sort of outer Twilight or outer limits Twilight Zone sort of episode to episode each issue. I think we have a winner here. 5 stars.
Wow. 2 5-star ratings from Raven in one episode. Wow. That did not just happen. Oh, sweet Jesus, I just wet myself. Whoa, the Raven has stunned the masses. And on that note, we close this week's reviews.
Yes, we do. And the publisher on that one is Mad Cave Studios. And he liked that cover. That's cool. Yeah, that cover was really cool. Yeah. Can you see what Chris missed? He could have really had some fun with the graphics tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But things happen. So anyway, because Chris wasn't here, we got a whole bunch of stuff to carry over to next week. So next week we'll be covering Jump Scare number 3, Galaxy of Madness number 9, Arcana Royale number 1. These were all books that Chris and I were supposed to do, as well as Captain Planet number 1, which he was supposed to do this week. Let There Be a Devil, Dawn Runner, and Minor Arcana were all supposed to be done this week. But usually it's like this week we continue. Next week. We'll have Usagi Yojimbo, a new all ages book that I just got this week called The Night Librarian. That's going to be our kids graphic novel choice for the week. Our crowdfunding book of the week will be Destroying Angel Lumen number 2, and possibly also Countdown to the Cobalt Crisis from the Scarlet Twilight as well. So lots of stuff to cover. John, I believe you're not going to be in next week, are you?
Nope.
Okay. And this is the Night Librarian, as you can see, and nice thick book there. So we got plenty of there. Also next week on Monday Manga, we will be doing the short story collections by Junji Ito, Ali, and a whole bunch of more in there, but it's Ali is the name of the actual title of the book. But as you can see, there's a bunch of different short stories in there. So that's what we'll be reviewing for Monday of next week. And then tomorrow, we're going to review, visit DC Movie Vault. And since Chris was the monster guy and he likes Mike Mignola and it's a Batman story, we're going to review Batman: The Doom That Came to Gotham. Hopefully, whatever issues Chris had to deal with tonight will be resolved. He will be okay for tomorrow. But he didn't have time. It was like right before the show, something came up. So, alrighty. Also this weekend, I will be on in the afternoon, weather permitting. As long as we don't have like a power outage or something from bad weather or anything, we'll have live draw both Saturday and Sunday. So, hope to see you then as well. Okay. If you have questions, contact me at Facebook at Lewis.BrightRaven. You reach me on Muskrat X channel at LewisBrightRave2. Pop Culture Avenger says, I picked up the Kamen Rider hardcover manga. Good stuff. Okay. I know I read some Kamen Rider or Kamen Raider, but I don't think it's the hardcover manga. I think it's some of the stuff from Titan that oh shoot. I can't think of his name right now. I can picture him in my mind, but I can't think of his name. Oh well. But it was a short miniseries. Joey Joe says something. Seems like everything happens in Gotham, unlike Metropolis. Yep. Anyway, my artwork, deviantart.com/BrightRaven. You've been watching Quoth Raven, Lewis Bright Raven, exclusively on YouTube. If you have questions, email me at quothravenlbr72@gmail.com. If I don't get back to you on that channel, try lewisbrightraven@yahoo.com. And if you want to reach out to John, he's at grayfigaro@hotmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
So until later, guys, thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Good night, everybody.
Gotham. See you next time. Quoth the Raven, nevermore.